Hey, welcome back to the Infamous Podcast. This is Brian.
This is Darryl. Who's this?
I'm alive.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. Yeah. So we are. Thanks for sticking with us. I actually got really sick over the last couple weeks and couldn't really talk or do much of anything and other than cough and die. So excuse me. So yeah. So this is why we haven't. This is where we've been for the last 2 weeks, right? Yeah. This is our first
week.
It's the 18th, and this is our first February podcast. So we actually had a whole thing planned to do 2 weeks ago about space aliens of science fiction, the most creative extraterrestrials, and like we both did homework, so we're going to do this one at some point. But because we waited so long, Invincible came back. The first 4 episodes are out, and then Cobra Kai ended this week. So, I mean, we have to talk about Cobra Kai.
Yes, because Cobra Kai never dies.
Never, ever, ever dies. But yeah, so Darryl, how are you, buddy?
Doing very well.
So, you know what? Maybe we should record the science fiction one on Saturday, since we're going to Raw on Monday and I'm going to NXT on Tuesday. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Yeah.
But yeah. So cool. Okay. So Daryl's very happy with me this week because I started playing Ghost of Tsushima.
Yes. After 5 years. Well, no, you didn't get into when did you get it? Actually, you didn't get it right.
I got it when it was like $20.
Okay.
On the like, you know, on sale. Like it was on one of the state of play sales that I got it. But I did buy the deluxe version. So
okay.
There's
one of my favorite games. So do you have the Iki Island DLC?
Yes, but I'm
I mean, that's you won't be able to play that. Yeah, so. You won't be able to play that for a while. Anyway,
I mean, let's be honest. I'm not going to finish it. I'm going to try. I'm actually going to try. It's really fun. It's beautiful. It is a beautiful game.
Yeah. And the story, and this is the thing, the story, like, I mean, because you haven't been playing long, but the story is, this is one of those games that even the side characters have just such well-designed and well-developed character arcs.
Yep.
It's and like it's just incredible. So I don't want to give too much away, but like, yeah, you know, just like any other open world game, you do quests with people, and all of like some of these main supporting characters have between 7 and 9 like mini quests that you do for this one overarching quest. It's awesome. It's just and again, this is. Do you have the upgraded version for the PS5?
Yeah, I have the PS5 version.
Okay, but okay, so it's the fact that it reminds me of movies in a way.
It reminds me. You look at some of the.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does, and it shows that this the people behind this game actually cared about Japanese culture and tradition, unlike these folks in Assassin's Creed and Ubisoft. But anyway, yeah, I love that game. Yeah. Like I said, I just finished a month or two ago replaying it for the first time.
It feels a lot like the Assassin's Creed Revolutionary War game with the when you're playing the Indian character Connor.
What is that called?
It was Assassin's Creed 3.
Was it? Because no, that's like 3 is the Ezio collection. Is part because I just no, you might be right.
Yeah, it's 3 because then the next one was Black Flag.
Yeah, it's 3.
So
yeah, right. Yes,
but yeah, it reminds me a lot of that because like you're in the woods, you can hunt animals, like you're very reverent of what you do with them. You come across people and you have to fight them and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, have you done your first haiku yet?
No, I haven't done a haiku yet.
You haven't found the locations or whatever. But yeah, it's so cool.
I'm actually
I
just
love
kind of
that game.
going wherever the wind takes me, literally.
Yeah. That is one of the best mechanics I've seen in a game because it doesn't break your work. It keeps you in the
Yeah.
game,
Oh yeah.
but it lets you know where you can go without, breaking immersion.
Yep. Yep.
Fascinating. And they're doing a movie. I think Chad Stahelski is going to be behind it.
Oh, cool.
So
Very cool. All right. Do you want to talk about Invincible?
let's talk about Invincible.
So Invincible's back, season 3. Um, it came out with 2 episodes, and then 2 episodes have aired since. And then episode 5 comes out later this week. I have to say, I really love the first episode back. It was pretty much like spot on the comic with what happened with after Angstrom and Mark. And then Cecil and Mark working to train. You got Dropkick and Fightmaster, who, funnily enough, are voiced by Solo.
Yeah.
Stealing the Declaration of Independence. Multi-Paul going after Rex. It was all really cool. But then with the whole Doc Seismic thing, like it was great how they did it, because it's not quite as like large as it was in the comic, but it's still like a very big thing because it's all these other heroes that we haven't really seen much of.
Yeah. And this is the thing that because there's a lot cut out, don't get me wrong, like in general from this show. But what helps this show is that episodes are like 50 minutes long, 45 to 50 minutes. So you can tell a lot more story than you could if you were in 22 minutes. And you think, well, you can just split up 20. There's still a flow that even if you are continuing a story in multiple episodes, that you lose. That Invincible is able to maintain that momentum of a story just by telling it through one episode, which I really like.
Like normally I'd be like, oh God, these should only be like a half hour, but like they've actually done a really good job this season in particular with all of this. And then you got to the part with like Darkwing and the Reanimen and stuff like that. And that was like pretty spot on. And then Mark, like it ends with Mark in the White Room. And then I liked how they did the Alan and Nolan stuff, like at the end of the episodes, until last episode, obviously. But like it was at the end of the episode where it was just kind of like touching base with them, which was I thought really, really cool.
Yeah. And the Invincible, so far this has also reminded me, and again, because it does the same, very similar as a comic with certain things cut out. It also, this first part of this season reminds me how annoyed I can get with Mark for being just a freaking idiot. But at the same time, I like, because again, he's how old? 19, so he's an idiot anyway. He's an idiot anyway, and he's unable to. He's one of those that he's so holier than thou at times, where it's like, I remember reading the comic thinking this, where I'm just like, dude, just stop going all emotional, emo, and just step back and think for a second. And but again, this is true to how he was in the comic, and he learns just like everybody else. But that was one of those things that I remember when I first read it. I was like, dude, why are you doing such dumb stuff and just so off? You're supposed to be a hero, and off, just going off your rocker about stuff. And I'm thinking, okay, well, you know what? He's also a 19-year-old kid who is also part Viltrumite, who, just like certain animals are aggressive, they're inclined to be more aggressive. So, I do appreciate that.
Yep.
And again, because I do like it, not just in any vein where I don't necessarily. We're talking about Ghost of Tsushima, for example. I'm not going to give any hints, but certain things that certain characters do, and you're like, dude, that's messed up. But then you think about it from their perspective, and going back to what you said about Shogun, I loved Shogun for that reason, because you got And we don't get that a lot nowadays. In a lot
like,
of
Shogun's a really good example of that because they each thought the other was barbaric.
Right.
So,
but we don't get that type of conflict in a lot of the stories we get now, whether it be video games, more specifically movies like Marvel or like stuff from Disney, for example. They don't know how to write this type of stuff. And it's necessary to keep my interest. Yes, if you have a 90 minutes of, explosions and gunfights, that's fine. But when you're telling a story over 2 hours of and it's interconnected with other shows and movies, or you're having a show and you don't have any of that conflict between characters that is both believable and you see the growth of characters in some way, shape, or form. I mean, it's generic writing at its best. And that's as some of the issues, I did have a couple issues with this. We know about the thieves. What were their names?
Dropkick and Fightmaster.
I always call it the guy with. No, I mean the Molten Man and Silly Putty guy.
So you just skipped way ahead. That was the third episode with Magma and Tether Tyrant and
Tether Tyrant. I was just trying to think of his name. Okay.
Yeah, that was that. It was a very Last of Us like beginning of the episode. There was just this like really melodramatic music and no dialogue, and they made the characters gay. And
for what reason? Like
because Darryl, they can't live in the world with the love that they want to love, so they have to keep going back to robbing the same bank over and over again because the world just can't cut them a break.
It's almost like, dude, why can't they be just best buddy criminals who are best friends?
Yeah, it was like all wholly unnecessary.
Yeah. So, and I did not realize until this last episode. I watched episode 4 today.
Okay.
I did not realize that was Zolo's voice when they first showed up in episod 2.
It wasn't until the 4th episode when I hit up to see who the voice was.
Well, I happened to look down doing something or looking up something while they were talking.
Yeah.
All right. They were talking, and I said, "Wait a minute, is that Zolo's voice?" And I was like, "Oh, yep, it is his voice."
That's funny. But yeah, it was it was. I really liked the first episode. I love the second episode actually, which is what I wanted to talk about. Because it opened with the flashback of how like Cecil became Cecil, which was really cool, and it kind of then like was littered throughout the episode. But we got the scene with the device that was in Mark's head that kind of disrupted him. And it was really fun to watch all of that happen and like just kind of see it animated, kind of like Nolan with the when he was with the One Aliens, and we got to actually see him destroy their world, which we never got to see in the comic. That was really cool. Or like seeing Mark and Nolan fight in Chicago or wherever they were, and like Nolan held him in front of a train and just like split the train in half while like bodies were bouncing off of Mark and basically disintegrating. Like that was like really, really cool to see in animation, and they did it so well.
Yeah, well, yeah, they did. I did like seeing that point of view from Cecil, as far as, the Cecil's origin, I guess you would call it. And again, it also just solidifies, yes, we see what happened with the Reanimen. What's his creator's name? And Darkwing.
D.A. Sinclair,
yeah. How Cecil is a guy who will do whatever it takes to protect the world. Mm-hmm. And it reminds me of...
Well, he was a lot like Mark before, though. Like, remember?
Yeah, he was.
He killed the twins, or thought he did. and
Mhm.
went to prison. And that was a great scene too. That wasn't in the comics, where when the
Yeah.
director came to get him out of prison, he's like, "There hasn't been a murder in this prison in 3 years." And, it was like,
Right.
it's really cool.
Yeah, and again, it shows the growth and understanding that when you have a position like Cecil's, where you have existential threats potentially, that's you can't think like you have to think 5, 6, 7 steps ahead. And seeing that he was in the same position as Invincible was at one point in time, and thinking, okay, these people are bad. They killed all these people. They don't get a get out of jail free card. And seeing where he is now, that was, and again, this is a lot of this stuff is in the comic as far as what he did versus where he was versus where he is now. It's a fascinating look at a character instead of, and again, I don't think you always need that, but in the show like this, that's taken in the comic like that, that's having that type of background of a character, especially one you've been around with a while. Because again, this is season 3. I don't even know where this would be in the, as far as what issue this would be, but we've been around Cecil for long enough to get that little tidbit into his life and into who he used to be when he was an active agent
Right.
versus the director.
Yeah. Yeah, it was I don't know. I thought it was one of the best episodes of the series so far.
Yeah.
And then so back to episode 3 though, you had the Tether Tyrant Magma stuff that was just it was gratuitous, like it was very masturbatory. But then you had Oliver going out and killing the Maulers, which kind of like made the episode worth watching. It wasn't all bad. But that was really cool too. And Mark finding Angstrom's drone as that episode ended. And that was another just like kind of cool moment from the comic. I mentioned this to you before because like we've seen a lot more Eve in this season than we've seen lately. Why do they have to draw her to be so ugly and plain?
I don't know. And I don't think I paid attention to it at first, like the first episode, but it was something I noticed, and I don't know. I thought for a second I was seeing stuff, and then you mentioned it because I kind of brushed it off myself. I was just like in episode 2 or whatever, where I noticed her character looked different. And I wasn't sure because I wasn't really paying attention, and I saw like a scene. I was like, okay, maybe they casually thought and dismissed, maybe they rushed this scene or whatnot. And then when you brought it up, and then I kind of paid attention after that, it's again, this is going back to this idea that you can't have attractive women that look like women, and this is not just in one thing. The video games are littered with this type of stuff now, where
it's animation just in general too, like
well, you look at
comics, comics
and you look at Aloy in Horizon Zero Dawn versus how they changed her face in the sequel. You cannot look at that and say it's the same character, or well, it's the same character just because of the hair and the eyes, but the jawline is completely different. It's like squared off now.
Yeah,
it's pathetic. And it's and when you have a game like Ghost of Tsushima where the women look like women, or what was the other game I was just about to say? Oh, Stellar Blade, where Stellar Blade almost got bullied because there's no women that look like this character. You might want to check the model who actually was the design for the character, by the way.
Yeah, when you sent that to me, I was like, is this AI?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was like, I actually follow, it's pretty cool. And it's just so funny. It's not funny. It's maddening that these people do this.
Mm-hmm.
Just make her like she was in the comic. You make most of the other characters, and in video games, all the men, unless they're playing alien species, look very similar to. Look at Cal Kestis, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the guy that plays Jin Sakai. Like he looks very similar to Jin Sakai. Like this is stuff that is conscious choices,
Mm-hmm.
and I would ask why they do that, but I know why they do that, and it's again. I know we're taking like 2 minutes off of this, but it's unnecessary. That's
Yeah.
the problem. It's absolutely unnecessary.
Correct. All right, so we'll talk about the last episode. So it picks up with Mark with the teen team or whatever they're calling themselves, Rex and the other guys, and Rudy, is like, yeah, this is from Earth, but it's way more sophisticated. So Mark goes to Cecil, and Cecil's like, no, we're not spying on you. And then he leaves, and Donald's like, but we are spying on him. He goes, yeah, but he doesn't need to know that, which is pretty funny.
That was great. Yeah.
And then Mark and Eve have their date, and Fightmaster and Dropkick like pull Mark into the future, which was another really cool thing that I was looking forward to, where the tyrannical king of Earth, the Immortal, has just gone mad because he can't die, and like the human brain isn't meant to live forever. And it was kind of heartbreaking to see it, like not just read it, but to see it too. It was even more heartbreaking when the Immortal is begging Mark to kill him, and Mark won't do it. And
what I would argue it's not heartbreaking for this simple reason.
Wow.
And again, I've always wondered and one thing I agree with as far as the human psyche being unbeing. So how did Immortal get? Because how did Immortal become immortal?
He's
was
just
it
like
magic?
He's always been. Yeah, it wasn't like a gypsy curse or anything. He's kind of like Vandal Savage.
Okay. Because I would think though, and this is where, and I know I'm going to bring up a movie that I know you didn't watch, and it's the worst movie of the MCU, which is Eternals, where one of the Eternals, their name is Eternals, right? Because of their long age, one of them had like Angelina Jolie's character had similar Alzheimer's slight dementia issue where she would sometimes forget where she was and then go crazy. Or I'm simplifying it, but you would think that an individual whose genes allow them to live that long, their brain would also be allowed, because again, the Viltrumites live forever, and their brains are able to adapt to that, like those memories and everything. But that was one of the things I've always wondered, like how different properties handle like the aspects of immortality. And I would think that the one danger would be just becoming so callous and cold and not caring that even Immortal with losing everybody. I would think more so that he would have gotten to the place where, if anything, he would just be like, I don't care.
Yeah, and that's kind of how he was. But like, he was the most aggressive.
To the point. Yeah. I mean, to the point where he doesn't. It's not that he wants to die. That he just so. But I was saying that, and to your kind of, that's a good aspect of he didn't care that he was killing people so long as he got what he wants. So that's why I was saying it's not really, to me, heartbreaking. Mm-hmm. It's heartbreaking, the idea of losing over and over and over and over again whoever you love.
Right.
That would be terrible. If you just keep losing them.
Yeah. You know who didn't have those problems? Highlanders. Highlanders didn't have those problems.
Yeah. Well, that's true. But I mean, they were always one little chop across the neck to becoming lightning.
Well, because there can be only one.
Yes.
But
The Quickening.
um, yeah.
One of the
No.
worst sequels in the history of sequels, Highlander
Oh,
2.
dude, the whole like it's not just Highlander 2. It was also Highlander 3, the one with Mario Van Peebles.
Well, all of them, yeah. They all sucked.
There was Highlander 4 Endgame that they put Edge in.
Oh yeah, yep.
So yeah, it's yeah, bad stuff. Anyway, so the other thing in this is you know, we finally had we had it out with Alan and Battle Beast and Nolan against the two Viltrumites who were sent to kill Nolan, and this is where Nolan has revealed the truth to Alan that there's less than 50 pureblood Viltrumites left in the galaxy. And Alan's like, hot damn, we can do this. I will
And
say that Seth Rogen's voice as Alan has really grown on me, and now I'm like, yes, it fits. Like it really does.
oh geez. I know. I say oh geez because I'm thinking the same thing. Where it's like, okay, I
Because
really
at
like
first
him
I
as
didn't.
Alan.
I just was like, no. Like I wanted it to be a gruffer voice, but then like who Alan is and like what Alan does later on and everything, it's like, yeah,
He's,
Seth Rogen.
I'm
Seth
gonna be
Rogen
honest.
actually fits.
It's perfect.
Yeah,
It's absolutely a perfect for the voice.
yeah.
So
Like it would, if they would have been like Patton Oswalt or something, it's like no, that would never work. Or like Pauly Shore or someone else. But yeah,
whoa, I mean that's like oh I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
anyway, so yeah,
Well,
so these
speaking
first
of
four episodes have been like it's been more hit than miss, which is great.
yes,
So
it's been and the other positive we've had one instance of Amber being in this so far.
hopefully that's it. No more Amber. So, but yeah. Anyway, all right. So out of 10, Alan the Alien Robodopes, what do you give the first four episodes?
7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I went 7.
Again,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah. Well, yeah. It's just very solid because for the most part, like you said, they give us what we saw from the comics. Which, by the way, I finally got my third and final compendium, so I'll have all
Ooh,
the Invincible in 3 compendiums that
nice.
I could kill a mug by hitting them with
Oh
it,
yeah.
but each one. But yeah, I'm liking what we have, and it's what 8 episodes so this year.
Yeah,
We have
8.
4 more.
I think 8. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I went 7.77. I really the things that they've done well, they've done great. And the things that they have done poorly was really just mostly like the manufactured gay shit. But other than that, like the animation is still really good. The character work is really good. The stuff with Oliver has been really good. I know we didn't talk about him a whole lot, but yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, and again, it's like we talked about this in season 2, and then that Adam Eve
Oh
kind
yeah,
of solo
yeah, which
after
was
season
awesome.
1 for me was yeah, season 1 was a little rough, and I was not enamored. I was not actually thinking about coming back, but yeah, you give credit where credit's due, and you can see the improvements they've
Yeah,
made over 3 seasons. Eve's face notwithstanding,
yeah.
like not
Well, because
including
like
that.
neither one of us were gonna watch, and then I think I was just bored and I put it on. And I was like, then I called you. I was like, it's actually good.
So they've done a solid job, and I'm looking forward to what we get these last 4
Oh
episodes.
yeah, absolutely. All right, let's say goodbye to Cobra Kai.
It's tough, man.
I
Tough.
gotta say, like as I feel like I'm one of the few like OG Cobra Kai people. Like I got YouTube Red just to watch Cobra Kai, and then
That's it. You were like one of the 10 people that had YouTube Red.
I kept it where I still have YouTube Premium because like I was like, wait, I don't ever have ads. Yes, please. So it's plus like you get a bunch of other. It's just it's worth it. With as much YouTube as I watch, like for like learning how to do shit and stuff, it works. These last 5 episodes were the perfect send off. Like no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The episode 11, Into the Fire, is by far the weakest of the final 5. But once everything gets rolling, like with the tournament and everything, it's just it's all killer, no filler.
It's that catch your breath episode where it's okay, this is what's going on. We have to hit everybody and see what's what direction they're going to be pointing in. And it again, when you have 5 more episodes to tell the magnificent story that they told, I am absolutely fine with that.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll say this. Cobra Kai has the greatest penultimate episode of all time.
I don't know about that.
It's the greatest penultimate.
Are you talking about like when you say the penultimate episode? Are you just talking about in general, or
like
season finale, series finale, penultimate?
Of all series penultimate episodes, it is the greatest penultimate.
Like it's series ending penultimate. Okay, that's series.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. It's really damn good.
Okay, spoilers. Just earmuffs for the next 30 seconds. They fucking blew up Kreese and Terry Silver on a yacht. Like, it doesn't get better than that.
That was,
Anyway. All right. All right. So, it's really interesting. So, like the first episode, like you said, it was kind of everything getting back to where they were going. Daniel doesn't want anything to do with karate. He's taking the death of Quan very hard. To the point where he's not giving away bonsai trees anymore, and he doesn't want bonsai trees in the dealership. It was a very Daniel thing to throw a hissy fit like that.
Yeah, because like Johnny says, he's a pussy.
Yeah. And then you have Kreese going back to Korea with what's her name? Anyway, to his old master, and he has to give the knife back. That was great. He's like, "You have something that no longer belongs to you," and I was like, "Oh man! Like this was the most important possession Kreese had ever owned." Maybe other than some shards of glass in his fists from when he tried to punch Mr. Miyagi. But and then he sulked off. But yeah. But yeah, getting the getting the Sakai Kai Tai in the valley. I like at first I was like, oh, they're not really gonna do this, but then they did it and it worked. It just worked. Even with Gunther and Darryl like arguing over who was gonna MC it.
You say it worked, and it how you don't know how. But it worked.
Yeah.
That should be the tagline for this entire freaking series.
It's like, it just works.
I was talking to somebody at work today about it, and I said, I have no idea how. It should not work. It's so cheesy. It's not, the acting is a few scenes, and we'll get into this, like notwithstanding, especially in this season, this part of the season, the dialogue is not great. Like, the fighting is more like 80s fighting, which again, it's paying homage to the original Karate Kid.
Yeah.
This stuff it's all about nostalgia, and which a lot of times we both get annoyed at, but all of this works.
It's because the people the creators, the showrunners of this show, John Hurwitz, Hayden Schlossberg, and Josh Held, they loved the source material,
and that shows.
And it shows.
It shows to me, like, one of my fears with talking. I will give Disney credit on this, and we'll one of our favorite shows of last year, X-Men 97. What we got, what we expected, both of us, versus what we got. And it was solely because you can watch these episodes of X-Men 97, just like Cobra Kai, and you can see that the people behind it actually appreciate it, respect it, and love the original material.
Right.
And that shows in what they put on the screen. And that's how this is. It's stuff should not work, but it does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just absolutely works. And you know, I think the other fun thing is that at the end of the day, it was just fun too.
Yeah.
They just tried to keep it fun. They definitely took themselves too serious a few times throughout the series. But for the most part, it was just fun.
Yeah. And you see characters develop. You see characters who, and again, it's not one of those things that it's a light goes on and they're just totally different. That's not the thing. Mm-hmm. It's, you can see over this entire 6 seasons how these characters develop and how they go from what they were, even in the original series, even as much as we, you know, rag on him, we see Daniel finally understanding that, okay, maybe my way is not my way is not the, and Miyagi's way is not the only way to do things.
Right.
And that's surprising because, you know, considering he at times was the second most annoying character in the series for me.
I mean, the two most annoying characters were named LaRusso, so.
Yes, exactly. And I can't stop. Like, we already did the yacht explosion, as that is one of the ratings, but one of my favorite scenes, as far as emotional scenes, because there's a lot of favorite great scenes that aren't like get you in the heartstrings, but Johnny finally confronting Kreese and letting go of 35 years of the pain that he held on to because he was never able to express it. William Zabka in that scene was incredible. And even though he didn't talk much, like Kreese, Martin Cove, like just did that was one of my favorite scenes of the entire series because it got at the heart of why Johnny was where he was when we first see him in season 1, episode 1 of Cobra Kai, which I'm going to have to take a couple months off, even though I kind of want to rewatch it now, but I want to kind of take a few months and then come back and rewatch this thing from the beginning. But we talked about it when we reviewed the part 2, and we said, okay, this show's name is Cobra Kai. Like, this cannot be Miyagi-Do winning this. You know, we knew it was coming back in the vow. We already knew that, and I remember talking about that, and you were saying that, and I was like, I agreed. I was like, yeah, I don't know if they'll do it, but that makes sense. Yeah. That somehow Cobra Kai would its name would, because Cobra Kai never dies.
Right.
And you even have Daniel saying that.
Oh, dude, like that whole in the finale where it was Sensei versus Sensei, and Johnny's just like, he's beat. He's been beat like a dog. He's getting the Mike Barnes treatment from Sensei Wolf.
Right.
And he's like, Daniel's like, calls time out for the last time, and he's like, do you got this? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. I got it. Like, he's just like, he's not even being monosyllabic. It's like half a syllable. Like, and then Daniel, the light bulb finally goes off in Daniel's head, and he's like, do we have fear in this dojo? And Johnny's like, no.
Oh, dude.
No. And then he's like,
when he broke that down,
he's like, do we have mercy in this dojo? No. No.
yeah, no sensei.
Do we have fear in this dojo? And then he goes, no, sensei. But he's so out of breath.
Yeah. And that was one of those, jump out of your chair scenes.
Yeah.
As well as when we first, at the end of episode, which one is it? After Johnny. After Robbie gets hurt. At the end of that episode.
That's episode 3. When he breaks
episode
Robbie's
3.
leg.
Yeah. When he gets him the dragon screw. Mm-hmm. And Miguel and Tori come out, and they come out the freaking Thunderstruck, which for Cobra Kai, for this show, that is absolutely the perfect song because it's just, that was such in the slow motion, out of the fall, out of the smoke. Again,
well, the best part, he was like, Cobra Kai has not named a male champion, so Axel will be the champion, but they have named a replacement male captain. And it's like, yes, here comes the one true Karate Kid, Miguel Diaz.
Yeah, because that was the other thing we were talking about, how he took a back seat in part 2. And it makes sense now that what we saw, what we got to what we got here. Because, again, he's the one true Karate Kid.
Yeah. And he got into Stanford all on his own without karate.
Yeah.
So
which that was pretty
great too. The fight with with Tori and Zara was such a cool moment for Tori.
Yeah.
Because everything that she had accomplished up to this point was always tainted because of someone else in her life.
Right.
And when she's doubting herself, the one person that she needs to hear something from is Robbie. And Robbie goes, he's like, I got this, Dad. Like, I got this, Daniel. Let me talk to her. And she's like, what are you going to tell me? I need to move faster. I need to kick her ass. And I need to do this. And Robbie just like, and Tanner did such a great job in this scene. Like, he just looks at her and he goes, no, I love you. And it was like, I didn't think I could feel something for these two. And it's this great moment. And then he looks at her and he goes, now go kick her ass.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, and then Tori and Peyton List, give her all the credit. She does such a good job of going from self-doubt to confident in this show.
Right.
It's a switch.
Yeah.
It's a switch for Tori. And like that switch gets flipped and Zara has no idea what hit her. Like literally she got a tooth knocked out.
Yeah. And I love at the end, she's like, welcome to the valley, bitch.
It was it was a very A Knight's Tale when she comes over her into frame. Like, you have been weighed, you have been measured, you've been found wanting. Welcome to the which was the Knight's Tale version of saying bitch.
Yeah. But, and again, I've always like every time I've always thought of when I've thought of this show, I've thought of the OC because that was episode 1. The main character comes and he gets beat up, and they're like, "Welcome to the OC, bitch."
Yeah. And
I just laugh so hard when Tori says that because that was right front and center in my mind, that show when she said that.
Which it was in the like one of the previews like early on too. The Welcome to Valley bitch line. So, but it was great to have it there. Then the Miguel Axel fight. Miguel comes out on fire, right? Axel.
I love that. Yeah.
Axel like just completely discounted Miguel because he wasn't a captain, not realizing that Miguel was actually the best. Like, he's one of the best karate fighters in the world, rightfully so. And when Miguel gets that first point, and then Axel isn't able to score a point against him, it was like really great. And then the stuff between Wolf and Axel on the side. And when Axel comes out and like Miguel doesn't score a point in the second round, but he gets that knockdown at the end. I thought it was really appropriate that the Sakai Kai Tai headband came off, right?
Yes.
And it was like, I almost thought they were going to pull like a blood sport where Axel was like, here, you left your laundry, on the mat. But we got the scene with Johnny and Miguel, and Miguel's just like, he's like, I don't know what to do. And Johnny's like, dude, just go out and do your best. And then he goes to put the Sakai Kai Tai one on, headband on. He goes, no, fuck that, you're Cobra Kai. And he gives him the black one. And like, that's what Miguel needed. And it's like the moment the two of them had post training, when Johnny's like, here, have some pizza, you need some protein. And Miguel goes like, yes, there's some protein in that. It's just this whole thing. Like, at no point did Miguel ever look at Johnny as this cheesy, stuck in the 80s guy, right? He's Miguel's dad.
Yeah.
And like, Johnny wasn't his sensei in that moment. He was like, look, you're my kid. Like, I just want you to be happy. I want you to do well for you.
And the advice he gives him, though, it's so apropos for anything you're going to do.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to be okay in something, if you want to be the best, you want to try to coast, doesn't matter. Whatever you do, you're going to kick some ass, and then there are times you're going to get your ass kicked. It's again, especially with us both being in competitive sports, you know that more than people that aren't necessarily in competitive sports. You know it more intimately, I guess you could say, because there's a physical aspect, especially whether it be fighting, in team sports where you're physical. There are times it's that whole, sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. And that's what Johnny says. He's like, and this is not going to be the end of that. This is life. You're going to get your head handed to you sometimes, and sometimes you're going to be the one delivering the punishment. But it's about going and doing the best as you can. And that's the thing. That's the thing about what this show does, and that's why I love this ending. And just this last third, because there are a lot of examples of where these lessons, like you just mentioned with Tori and Robbie, there are times where that little kick in the pants is what you need.
Yeah.
But then there are some times where you just need a person to say, hey, you know what? I believe in you. And that's all. And again, Robbie's, I believe in you. I love that. Sometimes that's all you need.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's other times like with Johnny where he had to get that, that pain off his chest when he talks to Kreese.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what this show did such a great job of. These little moments that for our characters are important, but if we actually step back and look at it from a macro perspective in our own lives, those things at some times or another, we're the ones that need that, or we're the ones that need, or that have somebody that needs that, and we need to deliver that for them or to accept that from them.
Yeah.
And it's so funny from a show like this where it's just such a fun time, how deep it can go, or not deep in the sense of philosophy, but deep in the sense of how it can be attributed to anybody's life or anybody's struggles, and from the past to the present, or when you don't have it all, and just giving your all, because again, your all is going to be different every day. But that doesn't mean that you don't give it. It doesn't mean just because you do everything right, that doesn't mean you're always going to have success either. And Cobra Kai did such and again, sometimes I become a little bit speechless talking about this show, because going back to, I don't know how this works. I just don't. I love this show. It's one of my. Yeah. I will say this, from start to finish, it's one of my favorite shows I've ever.
Oh yeah,
seen.
I mean,
because
it's a complete show. It's a complete series. Like,
yeah,
it
shows that, like different things are, like, again, one of my other favorite shows, for example, The Expanse, a totally different type of show. But again, another complete show, a different type of feeling when I'm watching that. Ted Lasso. Now, Ted Lasso is similar for me as Cobra Kai in the sense of I just feel joy when I'm watching it. Superman and Lois
Yeah.
it was another one, but I like we're going back to what you said earlier, and when you called out the creators and the right, like the showrunners, the creators, the directors behind this show. When you love something and you're putting your all into it, and again, kind of what Johnny was telling in a way Johnny was telling Miguel, but it shows it shows. You can see when someone really loves and respects something and they're trying to bring it to to the screen, whether you're trying to bring a project out, you can tell when somebody really wants to do something well.
Yeah.
And this show they do well.
Yes.
So I can't say any more things about this show. I just love this show.
Well, I think too the thing that we just can close out on is like Johnny wins the Sekai Kai Tai tournament for Cobra Kai because of course it ends in a tie. So in they have this contingency already in place, so the senseis have to fight. And Johnny got his Rocky moment in the show, and all the kids running after him and Daniel in the street and all of that stuff. But what really happened is Johnny got to reclaim the part of himself that Kreese took away. Not Daniel, Kreese, when he was 18.
Yes.
And he got half of that back by talking to Kreese, right? Like in having that moment with him. He got it all back when he was able to win on his own, but by taking everything that he'd learned up until that point in his life. And I thought it was great that they showed the clip of the illegal kick to his face from Daniel in the All Valley, and the footwork that he did to take that step backwards instead of rush in. And it was finally that lesson, like, I have to let this come to me because it's not anybody else's fault when I rush in and go half cocked with a cockamamie idea. Like, I have to let this come to me, and I'm more than enough to take care of it.
Yes.
And it was that I just thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, I can't agree more.
So, Carmen and Johnny had their baby. Carmen and Johnny got married this season. That was great. Sam is going to Okinawa. I actually really loved the way the story ended for Sam and Miguel, with the both of them going off to have an adventure. I thought that was great. Tori and Robbie got signed to some karate brand, which was cool. I really enjoyed that. Dimitri and Hawk made up, and they're going to Caltech together. They both have their girlfriends. That was great. And then the faces of Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do are Kenny, Devin, and not Daniel. What's his kid's name?
Anthony.
And I thought that was great. And it ends with not the last scene, but the show closes out with Daniel and Johnny meeting for lunch and having sushi together and talking about the All Valley and how who's gonna fight for which dojo, which I thought was a great moment. And this is who these two guys probably should have been their entire lives, right?
Yep.
And I don't know if you caught it, but when Johnny was walking in, and it was actually the guys who were the showrunners were sitting at the bar, and they were talking about redoing Back to the Future.
No.
Yeah. And they were like, yeah, we can do it, and we'll change Marty. And then the one guy's like, no, that'll never work. But you got to go back and watch that scene because it's really funny. Because it's kind of the whole thing with Cobra Kai. But it was great. And then the show ends with Johnny with his new class and talking about, yes, defense is important. Yes, stand up for yourself is important. And sometimes you do have to learn offense. And it was just a really cool scene. And the only thing I think he should have said at the end is "Let's begin." Like that's the only thing I would have
Yeah.
changed. But I loved it so much, and I thought they did such a fantastic job. So for season 6, part 3, out of 10 flaming cigar yacht explosions, what do you give? What do you give this?
I gave I gave it a solid 9. It was just a straight up 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Again, I thought it was great. I initially thought of it higher, but then I said, look, 9 out of 10 is great, and this is a show to me where the sum of the parts, that like the whole is greater than the sum of the. So when you see the 9 out of 10, I didn't rate every part of every season or every part of,
Right.
especially every part of season 6 a 9.
Yeah.
But when you go back to what the series is as a whole for me, it's actually going to be a higher version. It's going to be a higher rating than the 9 out of 10, which obviously is fantastic for anything.
Yeah, I gave this season a 9.23. I think this was the best 5-episode stretch for sure.
Yes.
Outside of the initial season of season 1. But it was really this was really something special for everyone involved, and I think it's great. Okay, so Cobra Kai the series, out of 10, from illegal kicks to the face to best friends. I'm sorry, from an illegal kick to the face to best friends. What do you give this series as a whole?
I give it a 9.25 out of 10. Again, it's just once you put everything together, I think like the 9 from part 3 was probably as high as I've gone for this show for a season or close. But I still think once you put everything together, everything we discussed about how this works, about the character arcs, about the lessons that a show that's just fun still gives, and you can apply it to your life, it's higher for me. That sum of the parts make it like it's the whole is so much greater than the sum of the parts. So that's why I have it a 9.25 out of 10.
Okay, so I give it an 8.94 out of 10.
Which is still great.
It is a great score.
Fantastic.
But the reason that I did that was season 2 definitely had its issues. And then the fact that the show went away for a couple years due to no fault of its own, right? But it went away for a couple years, and when it came back with season 3, it took too long for it to find its feet again, like at the jump. So, I will say this: it was it's one of my favorite shows of all time. It's in the top 10 for sure, no doubt about that. I do think this will be one that's fun to rewatch. I also think, of the age that we're at, like eventually there'll be grandkids and things like that, and this will be like a really fun, wholesome thing to watch with them.
Yeah, I can't love this show.
Yeah.
That's all I could say. I mean, I can't recommend this enough. And for if you like the Karate Kid, or if you're just wanting, again, you can have fun with this show without watching it, but it takes it. No, understanding where this show comes from takes it to another level, like levels upon levels of they say there's levels to this. Yeah. You can enjoy it, but to really get it, you need to see the original 3 Karate Kids, especially with all the cameos, but just where the characters come from and their arcs and what we see from it. Yeah. I can't recommend this enough. Again, like you said, this is, yes, there's some language here and there, but other than that, it's just
it's wholesome.
So much fun and it's wholesome.
Cool.
All right. Much fun.
Well, on that note, before we go, I just want to point out that Virtue Signal Brave New World opened to $88 million for the 3-day. And I'm not going to let them count Monday for the 4-day weekend, because all the bitches on The View are saying we have to not have President's Day because you shouldn't celebrate Donald Trump. So if that's the case, $88 million for Captain America Brave New World. Fuck you, Disney. Ha 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 ha.
Tell me how you really feel.
I mean, seriously, fuck them. Like, why? This movie is going to end up having probably cost close to $400 million to make.
Well, no, I'll say this. It's more about
because they had to reshoot the whole thing twice.
Well, as bad as I want to, slam on Disney, more so to me, and again, they're allowed to get away with this stuff because you have shills actively lying about the budget for this movie and ignoring the fact that when they compare it to Winter Soldier, they're comparing the 4-day totals of this movie from a movie that was 12 years ago and 3-day totals. Mm-hmm. So that was the other thing. You know what? Don't lie.
Yeah.
And again, that's what the media is now. They're carrying water.
It's 4-day total was
especially
100.
They're carrying water.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the 3-day total for Winter Soldier was like between 80 and 95. I don't know which one, but it was, and they were. I think it was 95 because I think 88 was the 3-day total for this movie. I think that's what it was.
Hold on. The 3-day total was 95. The 4-day total was 101. Okay. So, and that was in 2014. When ticket prices,
average ticket price
$7, $7 or
$8 and something.
Now it's 14.
Yeah. Well, yes.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But also the preview nights weren't as big, like a big of a thing yet when Winter Soldier came out, but like
right,
yeah. So also it was like this one was what $41.05 for screens. And Winter Soldier was it was also on less screens, 3,938.
Yeah,
so it was on 200 less screens.
Yeah. So
yeah.
But I'll end it with Cobra Kai never dies.
Yeah, Cobra Kai never dies. On that note, thank you for sticking through us again with the absence. I apologize for getting sick. I'm the world's worst patient because I try to just not be sick and then it gets worse. So, any last words, Darryl?
I already said them.
I'm going to see Darryl. Next Monday. I'm super excited. I haven't seen Darryl in months. So, I haven't seen Darryl since my wedding. So, I'm super excited to see you on Monday and give you your present from the Royal Rumble. Oh, by the way, the Royal Rumble was fucking awesome. I don't know. We haven't even talked about that. It was amazing. So, all right. On that note, Darryl, talk to you later.
See ya.
The Infamous Podcast is recorded in Kings Mills, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati. You can find new episodes every Sunday on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, our website, or anywhere podcasts are downloaded. This show is hosted by Darryl Jasper and me, Brian Tudor. To find more information about the show, visit us at infamouspodcast.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Infamous Podcast to keep up with the show. We also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/Infamous Podcast. We have some great rewards for our patrons and are looking for help to grow the show to bring you more of the content you want to hear. Music for this podcast is provided by Michael Henry from meetmichaelhenry.com. So, whenever you're listening to us, have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whenever it is, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.